Beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. John 1:3-5. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing is made that has been made. In him was the life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it.
Nathan, is that really you?
Wow, Rachel, you haven't changed a bit. I was hoping I'd see you here at the reunion.
It's good to see you too. You look great.
Thanks. I can hardly believe it's been 30 years since we were students here at Bethlehem High. Can you?
Hardly. Remember all the classes we had together? I had so much fun sitting behind you in Sheep Shearing 101.
That's right. Remember when you sheared Joshua's hair?
Hey, that was an accident.
Yeah, I never really believed that.
You weren't such a goody two-sandals either. Remember when the teachers found out that the school mascot was no longer a white sheep? Somebody dyed it pink.
That was Simon's idea. I wasn't really involved.
You can say what you want, but I heard they caught you pink-handed.
Maybe I was involved a little.
Oh, look, here comes, what's her name again?
I can't remember.
She's not wearing a name tag. Fake it.
Nathan, Rachel, you guys look great.
How are you? You look good. How are you doing there?
Yeah, how are you doing there?
It's me, Ruth, from astronomy class.
Of course, that's right, Ruth.
I knew your name all along, Ruth. How are you?
I'm doing great.
We were just talking about some of our old classmates.
Oh yeah, remember those nights we used to sit outside and do our star charts together?
Yeah, that's right. There was you and me and who else was there?
Abigail. I can't believe you don't remember Abigail. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't recognize her though. Let me tell you, she has changed a lot since high school.
Really?
Oh yeah, and not just her looks. She's like a different person now. You can see for yourself. She's here tonight.
What kind of work does she do?
I think she's a shepherd.
Did she take over the family business?
Not right away. She went to a special shepherding school first.
Where did she go?
I think she went to Wolseley College.
Wow, that's a great school. She must have done well on her SATs.
I think she did, and those shepherding aptitude tests are tricky.
That's impressive, but she's still just a shepherd, you know?
Yep, and a shepherd's life can be pretty boring.
Tell me about it. My brother-in-law is a shepherd, and when we get together, all he talks about is sheep, sheep, sheep.
But what do you expect? It's not like there are any noteworthy shepherds.
Of course there are.
Really? Name one.
There's David. Everyone remembers the stories of David.
Not fair. You say this for being a king, not for being a shepherd.
Okay, what about Noah?
Noah, he wasn't a shepherd.
Yeah, Noah had at least 2 sheep.
Very funny. You gotta stop on the shepherd bash. Who's Abigail now?
Hi guys, how are you doing? You look great.
What do you have, Abigail?
It's really good to see you. What have you been up to?
Nothing much.
How about you, Ruth?
I started a tent making company called Tents R Us.
Really? Residential or commercial?
Mostly residential. Our latest product is marketed to nomads. We call it Home in a Bag.
Nice. I think I've seen your ads.
Yeah, it's been a big seller.
Abigail, we hear you're in the sheep business.
That's right, and I really enjoy it.
I think sitting out there all day would be tough. I'd probably fall asleep.
The only time I get sleepy is when I have to count the sheep.
That always works for me.
But while I tend to sheep, I do a lot of reading too.
What have you been reading? Anything good?
I read some professional books, of course, and I recently read Purpose-Driven Shepherding.
I think I've heard of that one.
I've been reading a lot of other things too, and I've been doing some thinking.
About shepherds?
Yeah, about shepherds and priests and kings too.
What a combination. They have anything in common?
Yeah, they do. I first noticed when I was doing some thinking about when our people were slaves in Egypt.
I'm so glad I'm not traveling. It seems like something always goes wrong when you travel these days.
Yeah, like sometimes the caravan is canceled and you have all that hassle of rescheduling.
What a nightmare. Those things are so cramped, there's no legroom.
Yeah, they really cram people together.
Are you talking about our Egyptian masters cramming us together in work groups?
Hi, Miriam. We were just talking about what a pain it is to travel.
Yeah, I don't know why we want to leave here. Traveling looks pretty awful.
Maybe we should be glad we don't have anywhere to go.
My brother Moses has been traveling. He's back in Egypt.
I didn't even know you had a brother.
Well, he was gone for a long time.
I remember now. He was raised by the Egyptian princess, wasn't he? That's right, and he killed an Egyptian who was beating one of our people.
Didn't he have to leave the country?
Yes, and we didn't hear from him for years.
It must have been a surprise to see him.
It was, but he has changed.
What do you mean?
Well, he isn't afraid of Pharaoh now.
No, why not?
He ran into a burning bush.
Wasn't he looking where he was going?
He didn't actually run into it. He was out in the sheep. He was out in the flock, out in the field watching sheep when he saw a burning bush. As he got closer, he noticed it wasn't burning up. It just kept burning.
That's not possible. It has to burn up.
That's what Moses thought. So he got closer and heard a voice coming from the bush.
Who was talking?
It was God.
What did God say?
God said, I have heard the cries of my people in Egypt.
Hey, that's us.
Yes, he also said he was going to rescue us.
That's wonderful news. When's God going to do this?
I don't know, but Moses has changed a lot. He doesn't seem to be speaking for himself. He seems to be speaking for God, too.
I wonder what I'll say to Pharaoh now.
I don't know that either, but I think things are going to change for us and our people sometime soon.
Maybe we'll get a chance to do some traveling after all.
Exodus 3:1-2. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up.
Exodus 3:4. So Moses thought, I will go over and see the strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses, and Moses said, Here I am.
Israel badly needed to change, and they did change. God stepped into history, into our history, by bringing Moses to lead his people out of Egypt.
Sure, that's a great story, but what does it have to do with us today?
go to Bethlehem High School, did he?
And I remember the rest of that story. Having freedom from slavery in Egypt was great for a while, but then things went bad again.
Yeah, it wasn't long before people started complaining and whining about stuff, and they ended up doing 40 years in the wilderness.
Like that was a good time.
It isn't much better today. It's like we're in slavery again here with the Romans. These are nice stories, but we need more than that.
All of you are right, and that's why I'm telling you these stories now. But it isn't just a story. Here's another example for you. Once when times were bad again, God called a little boy to bring his word to all of Israel.
I tell you, Daniel, it was terrible. Hours and hours. Are we there yet?
Traveling with kids is a real picnic, isn't it?
I've heard that people who travel with kids generally end up going an average of 10.2 miles per hour slower.
Who would spend time measuring that?
Hey, I'm just telling you what I've heard. Which route did you take, Micah?
We took Route 42 out of Jericho.
That was a mistake. Route 17 is much faster this time of year.
Just ignore him.
What time did you come to Jericho? That might have made a difference.
I don't know what time it was. My sundial wasn't working well.
I've heard that 37% of all sundials are defective within the first year.
You're just making that up.
I'm not. You know, if you read, you can learn things.
I'm just glad to be back. My youngest is always getting camel sick and has to sit up front.
That camel sickness can be tough. Route 17 would have been a much smoother trip, and that might have helped.
Joshua, enough advice already.
I know I can't stand it when my kids whine. Did your kids fight about who should get the front seat?
Yes, especially the twins. By the time we got to the end, I was so wound up I couldn't sleep.
You should have stopped for an ice cream break at the Dromedary Queen. That's my favorite.
I'm just glad to be back, although I'm still not sleeping well.
Maybe you can keep Samuel company.
You mean the kid who lives at the temple?
Yes, that's the one.
What's his deal?
He hasn't been sleeping well at night either.
The temple's right off that busy traffic route. Maybe that's eating him up.
No, that's not it.
Maybe it's those new hoof protectors that are using on camels these days. Those can be pretty noisy.
It isn't anything like that either. Samuel says that God has been talking to him.
Is he dreaming?
Not according to what I heard. Samuel was just lying in bed when he heard a voice calling to him. Samuel, Samuel.
Was Eli the priest calling him?
Apparently not. He ran and asked Eli if he had called, but Eli said no.
So was it somebody else? Maybe it was the wind.
Samuel couldn't find anyone, but this happened 3 times.
The wind can do that sometimes, you know.
It wasn't the wind.
Maybe there's some thunder, you know, that low rumbling kind.
No, Joshua, just listen for a minute.
What did Samuel do next?
He ran and asked Eli what to do, and Eli said, the next time it happens, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means that Samuel was talking to God.
That's pretty cool. What did he do after that?
Samuel wasn't the same after that. Sometimes it seemed like he was speaking for the Lord.
Somebody needs to speak for the Lord. Things aren't going well for us right now.
We all seem to be doing what he thinks is right. No one seems to be in charge.
What is Samuel saying?
He's saying that we have forgotten about the Lord.
He's right. Everyone's just doing what he feels like. We need to turn our hearts back to God.
Wow, Samuel really has become a prophet. I guess when you hear the voice of the Lord, it can make a difference.
1 Samuel 3:8. A third time the Lord called, Samuel. Samuel got up and went to Eli. Here I am, you called me. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. 1 Samuel 3:9-10. So Eli told Samuel, go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling, as at the other time, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening.
Changed in the past. Big deal. These are just stories from our nation's history. What does that have to do with us?
That's a good question. I'm not getting it either.
That's just it. It isn't just a story. God wanted to bring his people back to him, and throughout history, that's just what he did. Remember all those kings we learned about in history class?
I actually do remember that.
I think I slept through that part.
The only part you didn't sleep through was when you studied the foods of the ancient world.
David and Solomon were good kings, but Israel had some very wicked kings, and Judah didn't do a whole lot better.
That's true. Most of them were not very good. But there was at least one other king who followed the Lord, and he was just a boy when he took over the throne.
Welcome home, Jacob. You've been gone for such a long time. How long has it been? 20 years?
At least 20 years. It was a long journey to get back here, but it feels very good to be home.
How was the trip?
Oh, it was fine. You know what travel is like. My caravan was canceled, so I ended up having a layover in Damascus.
Damascus. I remember it well. There was a nice little restaurant in Damascus that served the best locust I've ever tasted. They put wild honey on it. It's great. It's called the International House of Locust. Did you get a chance to eat there?
No, I didn't. No, it was just a layover.
What a bother. I hate waiting in camel forts.
And the food is always so expensive.
See, if you would have gone to my restaurant, you would have saved a lot of money.
Yes, but it was just a layover. I guess I shouldn't complain. If I was traveling during the holidays, I wouldn't have gotten on another camel.
That's why I'm here. Well, I guess it's no surprise that lots of people travel on Passover.
It sure does call the pity for it, but you're feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. A little poopy, but aside from that, I'm doing good.
Yes, Health Flag. When I was in Nazareth, I found a little shop that sold a potion that cured Health Flag right away. I don't suppose you stopped there, did you?
No, I didn't go through Nazareth at all. The only stop was in Damascus.
Jacob, were you able to keep up on the kingdom news while you were gone?
No, I haven't heard from the kingdom in quite a while.
So you haven't heard about King Josiah?
Josiah, I thought Amon was king.
You have been gone for a long time. Amon was king and was killed by some officials.
Really? That's horrible.
Then the people revolted against the officials and had them killed. That's when Josiah was made king.
Josiah? He was only a boy when I left. How old was he when he became king?
Only 8 years old.
Wow, that's really young.
Yes, it is, but you know, he turned out to be a better king than his father was because Josiah had followed the way of the Lord.
Things began to change when Josiah took over. He began tearing down the idols and temples and the false gods. And then the book of the law was found.
The book of the law, the one we got from Moses?
Yes, the book with the stories of Adam, Eve, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all of God's commandments too.
That's the one. It was found in the temple.
First read it to Josiah and he read it.
Why was that a big deal?
Because it isn't just a book, it's God's book. And as soon as Josiah heard, he knew that Judah had been living the way God wanted us to.
So what did he do?
He gathered all the people together, and the book was read to us so that we could hear the stories and commandments of the Lord.
You could feel the presence of God when Josiah read the words in the book.
Something changed when he read the word of the Lord.
We all change when we heard God's word.
2 Chronicles 34:19. When the king heard the words of the law, he tore his robes. He went to the temple of the Lord with the people of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the Levites. All the people from the least to the greatest, he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the temple of the Lord. 2 Chronicles 34:31. The king stood by his pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and to keep his commands, statutes and decrees with all his heart and all his soul, and to obey the words of the covenant written in this book.
Once again, God worked at his people to change the nation.
But it didn't last, did it?
You're right, Rachel. It didn't. In fact, Josiah was a good king, but his son Jehoahaz was not. In fact, there are no more kings who followed the Lord after Josiah.
That's pretty depressing.
God changed the whole nation, but they soon forgot about him.
That's right. Just about every story in our history ends up with our people forgetting about God.
Isn't there any hope? It seems like no matter what we do, we end up forgetting about God.
There is a point to telling these stories. There is hope. And it started out with some shepherds.
Really? Shepherds?
Yeah, shepherds. I was reading the Bethlehem Herald when I read about the Rabbi Jesus. He's saying some amazing things, and he's healing people.
What does that have to do with shepherds?
One of my shepherd friends was telling me about what happened to him many years ago, before I joined the team.
What happened?
These shepherds had a meeting with God.
Hey Esther, do you have anything new to read?
I have the latest book from the Shepherd Book Club,
What's it called?
Chicken Soup for the Shepherding Soul.
I already read that one.
I also have a newspaper. Would you like to see that?
No thanks, I already read it.
Did you see my African tool I invented?
Another invention? What is it this time?
It's a special telescope for shepherds. You look through it and you can see your sheep better. It's called a YouTube.
Wow, I could use one of those.
I was talking to some shepherds over on the eastern slope. They saw something strange a couple of nights ago. Was that in the paper?
I didn't notice it. What happened?
They were out in the field near Bethlehem keeping watch over their flock when suddenly the sky opened up and a whole bunch of angels appeared.
Angels, were they frightened?
Of course they were, but the angels said, "Do not be afraid, we're here with good news."
What was the news?
The angels announced about a baby being born in a stable in Bethlehem.
They told them about a baby?
Yes, just a baby. It's not just any ordinary baby. This baby really is the Messiah. He is Christ the Lord.
Oh, really? What did the shepherds do?
The shepherds the angels told the shepherds where to find the baby, and they began praising God and went to find the baby.
Well, did they just leave their sheep out there in the fields?
That doesn't seem very responsible.
Hey, if angels tell you to go find a baby, you go find a baby.
Well, what did they find?
Just as the angels said, they found a woman and her husband and a newborn baby in a stable.
That's all it was? Just a baby?
Yes, just a baby. But there's something special about all of this. This baby really is the Messiah.
What?
Do you really think they saw the Messiah?
Yes, I do, and so do the shepherds who saw him. If this really is the Messiah, then things will never be the same.
And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night, and an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified, but the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today in telling David a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and laying in the manger." Suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests."
When the angels had left and went down into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in a manger.
Abigail, so what does that story have to do with the Rabbi Jesus you were talking about?
This baby born in a manger is Rabbi Jesus, and he's not just a great teacher, he's God's own son.
But we won't just end up forgetting about God again?
This time is different. In our history, God revealed himself to certain people, like Moses and Samuel.
And like Elijah and Joshua.
Right, but in our history, God seemed to only speak to us through special people, great leaders or prophets.
But when Jesus was born, all of that changed. Jesus is God's own son. He's here and he's actually living with us. That's different than just sending us a messenger.
So why does the birth of Jesus matter for us?
Jesus' birth means that God is here living with us. This baby born in the stable is changing the world with what he says and with what he does. But more importantly, God himself is here living with us.
It's like a different kind of reunion now. After all the times we've drifted away, we're finally back with God again.
Yeah, because Jesus coming to earth, we can finally be reunited with God again.
Yes, God is with us. That's pretty amazing.
This is much more than just a story.